Howdy gaming people, Damon Master here with another episode of Unboxing My Collection. Kind of appears that some of you like my old stuff better than my new stuff, and so I thought I'd sort of dive back to probably one of the oldest games in my collection. Maybe not the fondest memories, maybe not the most emotionally connected or invested with, but definitely probably one of the oldest. Hopefully you've noticed a few improvements to my videos as well as time's gone on, and you got the new intro, and I'm hoping to sort of make these a bit more interesting and engaging as I go on. So any feedback that you might have, criticisms or suggestions, please let me know in the comments below so I can try and improve and make these better. There's only one way to get better, and that's through practice. But let's have a look at Lode Runner from Broderbund. This was a game that was released in 1983, I believe, and I would have been playing on PC XT in about 84, maybe 85, but it was certainly one of the earlier titles that we had on our home PC. Now, I won't lie, we had a naughty version, I suppose, but that was pretty common for the time. This box copy I picked up much later. If you haven't played Lode Runner, it's essentially a platformer on a static screen. It's not a scroller like, say, Mario, that sees you move about the screen, avoiding enemies, picking up chests, and using your sort of laser gun mining device to destroy the ground tiles as you go, which then regenerate after a period of time. And you were able to capture enemies by creating a hole in the ground, then running into it, and then having it seal, and then after a short moment those enemies would respawn elsewhere on the screen. Yeah, and the idea was once you got all the gold chests, a ladder would appear and you climbed off the top of the screen. Probably the biggest not selling point, but one of the key factors with this particular title was the fact that it included a level editor. And as a young fella back in the day, this was amazing, and I probably spent more time in that level editor than actually playing the game. When you're young and your imagination is overflowing, those sorts of things were just amazing. So this, Mean 18 Golf, and a few others, anything that had a built-in editor, I would spend a lot of time. Ancient Art of War, another one springs to mind. I'd spend a lot of time making maps and levels and things like that. So, but this particular item I didn't acquire much later. I won't lie, I don't remember exactly where or when. It was probably from a Game Traders store, whether it was one I was working at or one I was visiting. For those not in Australia, Game Traders is a bit like an EB Games or a GameStop, but they deal with, and they're a significantly smaller chain now, but they deal with older video games. Like, they do a lot of retro stuff. Well, at least they used to. Their business models changed a bit, but so not only like Super Nintendo, NES, all that classic stuff, but they were one of the few that would actually, from store to store mind you, buy and sell old PC software, which is a bit of a tough sell because it's a lot of stuff would sit on shelves for a long time. There's not a lot of PC collectors in Australia by comparison to, say, the US, largely because most of the time we've got to import stuff. Trying to sort of going thrifting, like you see other YouTube names do, is just really almost not viable in Australia. It's very, very unlikely you're going to find good old PC software, and in the years I've been doing it, I've probably been lucky to find, I can count on one hand how many pieces I've found. But yeah, so I would have picked this up in one of those stores, probably fairly cheap, to be honest. So Lode Runner, an action game and game generator by Doug Smith, Broderbund, by Doug Green, version for IBM Tandy, and 100% compatibles. Graphics card is required. I would have had CJ at the time, good old CGA, and a 12-inch monitor to support it. Scan lines that'll rip your pupils apart. 128K of RAM, we had 512. Keyboard or joystick. Now, I used to actually play this with one of the old classic metal rectangular, I don't know if it was a genuine IBM, but it was a joystick. It had a red and a blue button, and the whole thing was made out of metal. And so I used to largely play Lode Runner on that. So this was distributed in Australia by Dataflow back in the day. So this was bought and sold in Australia, but obviously the packaging is still the international one. It lists Broderbund in there. Looks like the California office there. Screenshots for the Apple and Macintosh version. I'd say IBM PC with CJ probably look closer to the Apple screen there. So, right, but let's crack it open. 150 different puzzles and scenes here. I don't recall ever finishing Lode Runner, but then again, I was probably too busy building my own levels. All right, nothing wants to come out. Okay, there we go. So we've got the media on 5 1/4 inch disc. Version for IBM Tandy and 100% compatible is Lode Runner, Broderbund, 17 pull drive, San Rafael, California. Bunch of numbers. Cool. We have Dataflow's warranty registration card for backup disk card and faulty disk card that someone appears to have put a Write Protect label on. So, Dataflow Computer Services, PO Box 525 King's Cross. I doubt they're still there. I doubt they still exist, but you never know. Maybe I should look that up. Cool, nothing too fancy there other than it's a bright pink warranty card. And last but not least, which I'm assuming kind of makes this complete in box, is the manual itself. An action game and game generator by Doug Smith. Okay, so then the PC version is by Doug Green. Well done, Dougs. Right, yep, testing your joystick, game controls, overview, scoring, gameplay, number of levels. The Lode Runner Master Disc has 150 different game boards. There are, however, 1,500 playable levels. Upon completion of level 150, you will be faced with level 1 once again, with a difference. This time, the enemy will be faster. In fact, each time you go around the board loop, the enemies get faster and faster relative to your speed, requiring new strategies. Right. Who actually ever finished 1,500 levels of Lode Runner? I would be impressed, honestly. But this is, as I said, where I spent most of my time making my own games. Blank. Erase, right, yeah, nothing. Diggable floor, which was, yep, the normal floor. Undiggable floor, which was one of the sort of hazards. Ladder. Hand over hand bar, or monkey bar, I guess. Trapdoor. Ladder that appears after getting all the gold. Gold chest, enemy, player. Yeah. There you go. So that's Lode Runner, the original. Of course, there was a whole heap of sort of reboots and sequels and whatever have you that came after, but this was it. This was the original. This was the first, and this is the one that I spent the most time with. So yeah, great game, and probably still a heck of a lot of fun today. But yeah, not sure how many box copies like this are out in the world. I probably couldn't even begin to imagine what they go for on eBay. Maybe not that much, who knows. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, if you've got any sort of feedback, criticisms, suggestions, anything that can help me improve these videos, that would be much appreciated. Just pop them in the comments below. If you've got a particular game that you might like to see me unbox, also let me know. I may have it in my collection. Otherwise, I'm just going to sort of keep picking and choosing things that tickle my fancy. Not everything's going to be as old as this. A lot of what I've got out there is in the 90s as well. Yeah. Thanks very much for watching. Catch you next time.